Thank you. I'm Mr. Lehner, and welcome back to Mr. Lehner's Math Extravaganza. In today's webisode, we're going to take a look at genetic traits. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, what does genetic traits mean? Basically, when you think about your genetics, it's kind of like the makeup of your body. Do you have brown hair, blonde hair, red hair, the color of your hair, the color of your eyes, whether your earlobes are attached or detached, whether you have straight hair or curly hair? These are all different factors when looking at genetics. We're going to take the genetics and then take a look at fractions and percents with those genetics. Let's take a look at an example up here. It talks about genetic traits up here. It says for each trait, use a percent bar or another strategy to estimate the percent of people in the class who have that trait. Okay, so here's our trait. Attached earlobes, dimples, and straight hair. We have a yes and no on our chart, and the total number of students in that class. So there's 40 students in this class. 15 of the 40 have attached earlobes, 11 of the 40 have dimples, and 24 of the 40 have straight hair. So I've taken a look at my information from my class here. I'm looking here at my chart to take a look at this information. And one way or one strategy to use is a percent bar to help me figure out the percentage of students that are each one of these traits, or that have each one of these traits. Let's take a look. I can do this a couple of different ways. We talked about benchmark fractions in our last video with a fourth or 25%, 50%, 75%, and we also went with 10% as well, 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way to 100%. So I've decided to go with fourths here. I know that 40 out of 40 would be 100%, so that would be 40. To find 25% of 40, there's a couple different ways I can do this. I know that 25% as a fraction is 1/4. So I'm finding 1/4 of 40. And we all know that when we use the word of in math, it means multiplication. So I could do 1/4 times 40, which is going to give me my number. Or, when working with percents, I can type into the calculator 0.25 times 40, because it's 25% of 40. Using either one of those methods, it's going to give me 10. 1/4 of 40 is 10, or 25% of 40 is 10. Well, then I know that 50, or half of it's going to be 20, and 3/4 or 75% is going to be 30. So, I just filled out my percent bar here with my total number of students. Now I can make my estimations. If I looked at attached earlobes, I know that 15 students out of the 40. If I'm trying to look at my chart here, well, I know that it has to be between 10 and 20. I also know that the halfway point between 10 and 20 is 15. So I can estimate that I would shade in up to this point on my fraction bar here to show the attached earlobes of the students. If I was looking at the percent to estimate, well, I know that halfway between 25 and 50 is 12.5. I can round up 12.5 to 13. So it's about 38% of the students in the class have attached earlobes. I just took my fraction, I placed it on my percent bar, and I was able to find an estimation of the percent. Okay, let's take a look at dimples. Dimples was 11. Well, I know it's going to be just a little bit after 10 here, so I might estimate that it would be right here on my fraction strip bar. And then I would say that maybe this is about 27% of the class. So about 27% of the class has dimples. And let's look at straight hair. 24 of the 40. So again, if I was looking at my chart here, halfway between 20 and 30 would be 25, and this is 24, so it's a little less than halfway between both. I also know that halfway here is 13% about, so I might say, let's add 11%, I might say it's about 61% of the students have straight hair in this classroom here. Now, I just used some benchmark percents in here to help me solve this problem. Again, this is just estimating. I wasn't trying to find the exact value. If I was trying to find the exact value, again, one strategy I could do is 15 over 40, or 15 divided by 40, to get my decimal and percent. 11 out of 40, or 11 divided by 40. And then 24 divided by 40. So give you guys your decimals and your percents. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Go ahead and grab your pencil. Go ahead and grab out that piece of paper, and let's take a look at your problem. It says for each trait, use a percent bar or another strategy to estimate the percent of people in the class who have that trait. So in this class there are 32 total students. 12 of the students have blue eyes, 18 of the students have brown eyes, and 24 of the students have a widow's peak as their trait. So again, there's multiple strategies that you can use to try and solve this problem. Go ahead and pause this video and we'll see what you come up with. Alright, when looking at this one, there's a couple of different strategies. I'm going to use a benchmark percent here, and I'm going to go with 25, 50, 75, and 100%. I know that my total is 32. So, if there's 12 out of the 32 that have blue eyes, I need to figure out where would I estimate this on my percent bar. Well, I know that 25% of 32 is the same thing as 1/4. So I can take this and I can multiply my 25%, 0.25 times 32, and I'm going to get 8. Or I could take 1/4 of 32 and get 8, which means 50% would be 16, 75% would be 24. So here's my numbers on my benchmark percents. Well, if I look at 12, I know that 12 is higher than 8, and it's less than 16. Half of this percent here, between 8 and 16, would be 4, which would be 12. So this is going to be directly between the 8 and the 16 on my bar. And again, if I look at my percent, it's about 13% away. So that's going to be 38%. 38% of the students in this class would have blue eyes. If I look at brown eyes, it's 18 out of the 32. So I know 18 is a little bit more than 16. I can estimate that it'd be about right here on my percent bar. And I might estimate this to be about 60% of the students having brown eyes. And lastly, my widow's peak here. 24 out of the 32. Well, this kind of worked out pretty handy, right? I already have 24 right here, which I know is 75%. So, 75% of the students in this classroom would have a widow's peak. Again, this is one strategy. You may have determined it to figure out that you might have used percents in terms of 10, with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and it makes your boxes smaller, which makes it kind of easier to get closer to the fractions. Or you can go with your fourths here, or fifths, kind of whatever makes it easier for you. This is just one of the strategies you can use to solve these types of problems. Thank you for tuning in to Mr. Lander's Math Extravaganza. As always, we'll see you next time.